Samantha Irvin just dropped the most devastating bombshell in wrestling history, and Ricochet's career might be over. The beloved WWE ring announcer has filed for divorce, and her statement is absolutely nuclear, exposing cheating, lies, and betrayal that will make your blood boil. What she caught Ricochet doing backstage will leave you speechless, and the evidence she's collected could end his wrestling career forever. But this isn't just about a marriage falling apart, this is about the systematic destruction of trust, the exploitation of power dynamics in WWE, and a web of lies that reaches the highest levels of the company. Samantha Irvin's explosive revelation names names, provides receipts, and exposes a side of the wrestling business that WWE desperately wants to keep hidden. The divorce papers were filed at 3:47 a.m. this morning, and the attached statement from Samantha is 23 pages of pure devastation. Sources close to the situation say Ricochet is in complete panic mode, frantically calling lawyers and begging WWE officials to help contain the fallout. But it's too late, the truth is out, and it's uglier than anyone could have imagined. "I trusted him with everything," Samantha's statement begins, her words dripping with pain and rage. "I supported his career, I sacrificed my own opportunities, I stood by him through every setback and celebrated every victory. And he repaid that loyalty by turning our marriage into a joke, our home into a lie, and me into a fool." The specific details of what Samantha discovered are absolutely shocking. According to her statement, she caught Ricochet in a compromising position with multiple women, and not just random hookups, but calculated affairs with people throughout the wrestling industry who could benefit his career. It wasn't just cheating, Samantha reveals in her explosive statement. It was strategic infidelity. Ricochet was sleeping with female executives, writers, producers, anyone who could give him better storylines, more screen time, or political protection within the company. He turned adultery into a career advancement tool. These aren't vague accusations thrown around in anger. Samantha Irvin has receipts, text messages, photos, hotel records, and witness testimony that paint a picture of systematic deception that lasted for years. And the evidence she's compiled doesn't just implicate Ricochet, it exposes a culture of corruption within WWE that could trigger federal investigations. The most damning piece of evidence involves Ricochet's relationship with a high-ranking female WWE executive whose name we can't publish for legal reasons, but whose identity has sent shockwaves through the wrestling industry. Text messages obtained by Samantha show explicit discussions about trading sexual favors for booking decisions. "Give me what I need tonight and I'll make sure your boy gets the push he's been wanting," reads one message from the executive to Ricochet. His response? "Already got the hotel room booked. Make sure the creative team knows I'm available for bigger things." The callousness in these exchanges is breathtaking. While Samantha was at home supporting her husband's career, believing in their partnership and their future together, Ricochet was literally prostituting himself for professional advancement and bragging about it to his affair partners. But perhaps most disgusting is what Samantha discovered about Ricochet's attitude toward their marriage during his affairs. In one particularly brutal text exchange with another wrestler's wife, Ricochet refers to Samantha as "my career insurance policy" and jokes about how easy it is to manipulate someone when they actually love you. "Reading those messages broke something inside me that can never be fixed," Samantha writes in her statement. "To realize that the man I loved, the man I thought loved me back, saw me as nothing more than a useful tool to maintain his public image while he lived a completely different life behind my back." The timeline of Ricochet's deception is staggering. According to Samantha's evidence, the affairs began just 6 months after their wedding, meaning that virtually their entire marriage was built on lies. Hotel receipts show Ricochet booking rooms during WWE events specifically for these encounters, often on the same nights that Samantha was working as ring announcer for the same shows. "I was literally working in the same building where my husband was cheating on me," Samantha reveals with devastating clarity. "There were nights when I would announce his matches, watch him perform, celebrate his victories with him afterward, and go to sleep next to him, never knowing that just hours earlier he had been with someone else in a hotel room 3 floors above where I was working." The psychological torture of this revelation cannot be overstated. Samantha describes feeling like her entire reality has been shattered, like every memory of their relationship now feels contaminated by the knowledge of his deception. But Ricochet's betrayal goes beyond just sexual infidelity. Samantha's statement reveals financial infidelity that could leave her financially devastated. While she was being faithful and transparent about their shared finances, Ricochet was secretly funneling money to his affair partners, paying for expensive gifts, luxury vacations, and even rent for apartments where he could conduct his extramarital relationships. "I discovered that Ricochet had been using our joint credit cards and bank accounts to fund his affairs," Samantha explains in her statement. "Thousands of dollars spent on jewelry, expensive dinners, hotel suites, and even a lease payment for an apartment in Orlando that I knew nothing about. He was literally making me pay for his betrayal of our marriage." The Orlando apartment revelation is particularly shocking because it suggests a level of premeditation and organization that goes far beyond spontaneous cheating. This was a systematic operation designed to facilitate long-term deception, complete with a secret residence specifically for conducting affairs. Financial records obtained by Samantha show that Ricochet spent over $47,000 in the past 18 months on expenses directly related to his extramarital activities. This includes $12,000 in hotel costs alone, suggesting that his cheating was not only frequent but expensive and elaborate. While I was clipping coupons and suggesting we eat at home to save money for our future, Ricochet was dropping hundreds of dollars at five-star restaurants with his mistresses, Samantha writes with obvious pain and anger. Every time he told me we needed to be more careful with money, he was actually just making sure I didn't question the massive amounts he was spending on other women. Perhaps most infuriating is Samantha's discovery that some of Ricochet's affair partners were people she considered friends. The statement names several women in the wrestling industry who Samantha had welcomed into their home, shared meals with, and treated as trusted members of their social circle. Finding out that women I had confided in about my marriage, women I had cooked dinner for and bought Christmas presents for, were sleeping with my husband behind my back has destroyed my ability to trust anyone, Samantha reveals. These weren't strangers who seduced my husband, these were women who looked me in the eye, hugged me, called me sister, all while they were actively participating in the destruction of my marriage. The betrayal by these women adds an additional layer of devastation to an already unthinkable situation. Samantha describes feeling like she was the victim of a coordinated conspiracy, with multiple people working together to deceive her while maintaining friendly facades to her face. One particularly shocking revelation involves a female WWE writer who not only had an affair with Ricochet but actually helped him craft lies to tell Samantha when she became suspicious of his behavior. Text messages show this writer providing Ricochet with detailed scripts for conversations with his wife, complete with fake alibis and emotional manipulation tactics. She would literally write out conversations for him to have with me, Samantha explains. Things like, tell her you've been feeling disconnected lately and you want to work on the marriage, or say you're worried about your career and need her support. She was writing dialogue to help my husband lie to me more effectively. The calculated nature of this deception is absolutely chilling. It wasn't just about sexual gratification, it was about psychological control and manipulation on a level that suggests genuine sociopathic behavior. But perhaps the most shocking revelation in Samantha's statement involves WWE's corporate response to her discovery of the affairs. According to her account, when she initially approached WWE officials about the situation, hoping they would help her address the professional misconduct aspects of her husband's behavior, she was told that personal relationships between consenting adults were not the company's concern. I wasn't asking WWE to fix my marriage, Samantha clarifies in her statement. I was reporting that their employee was trading sexual favors for professional advancement, which is literally the definition of workplace harassment and corruption. But instead of investigating, they circled the wagons to protect their investment in Ricochet's career. This corporate response suggests that WWE may have been aware of Ricochet's behavior and chose to ignore it because addressing it would have been disruptive to their programming and financial interests. If true, this could expose the company to significant legal liability and regulatory scrutiny. Samantha's statement indicates that she has already contacted federal investigators about the potential workplace violations, suggesting that this scandal could expand far beyond a personal divorce matter into a full-scale investigation of WWE's corporate practices. If WWE wants to treat systematic sexual harassment and career-based coercion as personal matters, then maybe federal investigators will have a different perspective, Samantha writes ominously. The timing of Samantha's revelation is particularly damaging for Ricochet's career. He was reportedly in line for a major storyline push in the coming months, but those plans are now in serious jeopardy as WWE scrambles to assess the potential public relations damage from his scandal. Multiple sources within WWE indicate that emergency meetings were held throughout the night after Samantha's statement was released, with company officials trying to determine whether Ricochet's continued employment poses an unacceptable risk to the company's reputation and legal standing. Ricochet's career might be over, one WWE insider revealed on condition of anonymity. This isn't just about bad publicity, this is about potential federal investigations, workplace harassment lawsuits, and corporate corruption charges. No wrestling storyline is worth that kind of legal exposure. The evidence that Samantha has compiled is reportedly so comprehensive and damaging that Ricochet's legal team has already approached her representatives about potential settlement discussions. But according to sources close to the situation, Samantha has no interest in quiet settlements or non-disclosure agreements. She wants the truth out there, a source close to Samantha revealed. She's not interested in money or revenge, she's interested in making sure other women don't go through what she went through. She wants accountability, not silence. This commitment to public accountability makes the situation even more dangerous for Ricochet and potentially for WWE. If Samantha follows through on her apparent intention to pursue this matter through public channels rather than private settlements, the resulting exposure could be devastating for everyone involved. The personal toll on Samantha is evident throughout her statement. This is a woman who built her life around supporting her husband's career, who moved across the country for his opportunities, who put her own professional ambitions on hold to help him succeed. And her reward for that sacrifice was years of systematic deception and betrayal. I gave him everything, Samantha writes in one of the most heartbreaking passages of her statement. I gave him my love, my loyalty, my trust, my career sacrifices, my financial support, my emotional labor. I gave him a home, a partnership, a future. And he gave me lies, betrayal, financial theft, and humiliation. The depth of her pain is matched only by the intensity of her anger, and that combination appears to be driving her determination to expose the full scope of Ricochet's deception regardless of the personal cost to herself. Perhaps most telling is Samantha's description of the moment she realized the full extent of her husband's betrayal. According to her statement, the final revelation came when she discovered that Ricochet had been using their shared social media accounts to coordinate his affairs, literally using her own online presence as a tool to facilitate his cheating. I found out that he had been using my Instagram and Twitter accounts to send private messages to his affair partners, Samantha explains. He would wait until I was asleep or out of town, then use my phone to contact these women and arrange meetings. So not only was he cheating on me, he was making me an unwitting accomplice in his affairs. This violation feels particularly intimate and degrading because it involved corrupting Samantha's own identity and online presence in service of Ricochet's deception. Every social media post she made during their marriage now feels contaminated by the knowledge that he was simultaneously using those same accounts to betray her. The evidence of this digital deception includes screenshots of messages sent from Samantha's accounts that she never wrote, conversations she never had, and arrangements she never made. The psychological impact of discovering that your own digital identity has been hijacked for such purposes is difficult to imagine. Seeing messages in my own name, from my own accounts, arranging my husband's affairs was the most violating experience of my life, Samantha writes. He didn't just cheat on me, he made me a participant in my own betrayal without my knowledge or consent. The legal implications of this digital identity theft could add additional charges to any potential criminal proceedings against Ricochet, as using someone else's accounts without permission for fraudulent purposes constitutes identity theft in most jurisdictions. But perhaps the most damaging evidence in Samantha's statement involves proof that Ricochet's affairs weren't just casual encounters but were part of a pattern of manipulative behavior that extended to his professional relationships as well. Text messages reveal that Ricochet was simultaneously conducting affairs with multiple women in the wrestling industry while telling each of them that they were his only extramarital relationship and that he was planning to leave his wife for them specifically. He was running the same scam on multiple women, Samantha explains in her statement, telling each of them that she was special, that she was different, that she was the one he really loved, that he was just waiting for the right time to end our marriage. Meanwhile, he was telling me that he wanted to start a family and was working on becoming a better husband. This pattern of manipulation shows that Ricochet wasn't just unfaithful to his wife, he was systematically deceiving multiple women simultaneously, using the same emotional manipulation tactics on each of them while maintaining his marriage as cover for his behavior. The women involved in these affairs were reportedly unaware of each other's existence until Samantha's investigation brought the full scope of Ricochet's deception to light. Several of them have since come forward to provide additional evidence supporting Samantha's claims. These women were victims too, Samantha acknowledges in her statement with remarkable grace given the circumstances. Ricochet lied to them just like he lied to me. He made them believe they were in meaningful relationships while he was actually just using them for sex and career advancement. This recognition that Ricochet's affair partners were also victims of his manipulation adds another dimension to the scandal and could potentially lead to additional legal action against him from multiple parties. The wrestling industry is reportedly in complete shock over these revelations. Ricochet was widely regarded as one of the more professional and reliable performers in WWE, with a reputation for being respectful and hardworking. The contrast between his public persona and the behavior described in Samantha's statement has left many of his colleagues struggling to process the news. "Nobody saw this coming," one WWE wrestler commented anonymously. "Ricochet always seemed like such a straight-up guy, so professional, so focused on his career. The idea that he was running this elaborate cheating operation while maintaining this squeaky clean image is just mind-blowing." This disconnect between public perception and private behavior makes the scandal even more shocking and potentially more damaging to WWE's brand, as fans who supported Ricochet based on his apparent character and professionalism now feel deceived themselves. The financial aspects of the divorce are likely to be particularly contentious given the evidence of Ricochet's secret spending on his affairs. Samantha's legal team is reportedly seeking full forensic accounting of all marital assets and may pursue claims for reimbursement of funds that Ricochet spent on his extramarital activities. "Every dollar he spent on hotels, gifts, and apartments for his affairs was theft from our marital assets," Samantha's statement makes clear. "I intend to recover every penny he stole from our marriage to fund his betrayal." The potential financial exposure for Ricochet could be substantial, particularly if courts determine that his affair-related expenses constitute dissipation of marital assets, which could result in him owing Samantha twice the amount he secretly spent. Additionally, if any of the women involved in his affairs received expensive gifts or financial support, they could potentially be required to return those items as part of the divorce settlement, creating additional complications and potential legal exposure for multiple parties. The professional wrestling industry is watching this situation closely because it could set precedents for how similar cases are handled in the future. The intersection of personal relationships, professional advancement, and corporate liability in the wrestling business has never been tested quite like this before. Legal experts suggest that this case could have far-reaching implications for how wrestling companies handle relationships between employees and how they respond to allegations of workplace-related misconduct. This could change everything about how the wrestling business operates, one legal expert explained. If companies can be held liable for ignoring sexual harassment and career-based coercion among their employees, it will force a complete re-evaluation of how these organizations manage personal relationships and professional advancement. The potential for federal investigation adds another layer of complexity to the situation. If investigators determine that WWE officials were aware of quid pro quo sexual arrangements between employees and failed to act, the company could face significant regulatory penalties and civil liability. Samantha's statement indicates that she has already compiled extensive documentation for potential federal investigators, suggesting that she's prepared to pursue this matter through official channels regardless of any private settlement offers. "This isn't just about my marriage," she writes in her statement. "This is about a pattern of behavior that creates hostile work environments and exploits power imbalances. If WWE won't police this behavior voluntarily, then maybe federal authorities will do it for them." The courage required for Samantha to make these revelations public cannot be overstated. She's risking her own career in the wrestling industry, her financial security, and her privacy to expose behavior that she believes represents a threat to other women in similar situations. "I know that going public with this will probably end my career in wrestling," Samantha acknowledges in her statement. "I know that it will make me enemies and that people will try to discredit me and blame me for my husband's choices. But I can't stay silent when I know that other women might be facing the same manipulation and betrayal." This selfless motivation adds moral weight to her accusations and makes it less likely that her revelations will be dismissed as the bitter complaints of a scorned spouse. The evidence she's compiled appears to be comprehensive enough to withstand legal scrutiny, and her willingness to involve federal investigators suggests confidence in the accuracy and significance of her claims. As this story continues to develop, the wrestling world is bracing for potential additional revelations. If Ricochet's behavior was as systematic and extensive as Samantha's evidence suggests, there may be other victims who come forward with similar stories. The precedent set by Samantha's courage in speaking out could encourage other women in the wrestling industry to report similar experiences, potentially exposing a broader pattern of misconduct that has been hidden behind the entertainment facade of professional wrestling. Samantha has opened a door that might have been keeping a lot of secrets hidden, one industry insider observed. If other women start coming forward with similar stories, this could turn into something much bigger than just one divorce case. The full impact of these revelations will likely unfold over the coming weeks and months. But one thing is already clear: Samantha Irvin's decision to expose the truth about her marriage has created a watershed moment that could permanently change how personal relationships and professional advancement intersect in the wrestling business. For now, Ricochet's career hangs in the balance while WWE officials scramble to contain the damage and federal investigators potentially prepare to examine whether criminal charges are warranted. Meanwhile, Samantha Irvin stands as a symbol of courage and integrity in an industry that has too often prioritized entertainment value over basic human decency. Her statement concludes with words that will likely resonate throughout the wrestling industry for years to come: "I refuse to be silent about behavior that hurts women and corrupts the business we all love. If my pain can prevent other women from experiencing this kind of betrayal, then speaking out was worth everything it will cost me." The wrestling world will never be the same, and that might finally be a change for the better.